Welcome to the next episode of the Iowa Girls Wrestling Stories podcast, now partnered with Chain Wrestling. Today, I'm excited to have three-time state place winner, both win and pin leader at Ridgeview High School. Uh, Girl I've known for a long time, Tatum Shepherd. How are you doing tonight, Tatum?
I'm doing really well.
Doing really
Had a
well.
good day. Yep, just got back from a lift, so
Very
yep.
nice. And I saw you guys went to Colorado again for a little Christmas break. How was that?
It was a lot of fun. The only thing I had as a goal was to not get hurt, and I didn't get hurt, so that was a win. Um, Family went up, had a great time, and we all came home safe, so that's all I could
Very
ask
good.
for.
Yeah, you
Yep.
usually manage to get through the Colorado trip without an injury, but it's things like climbing a rope and showing off that tend to cause injuries at unopportune times and or just
All
generally
right.
walking down the street.
You know what? You encouraged me to climb that rope for a third time, and
I
I
may have.
did fall down and destroyed my ankle. And so I'm gonna blame that one on you. But otherwise, yeah,
Okay.
probably is.
Very nice. So, I was actually, I wanted to start with something that we just did kind of recently with Nadine, kind of plug in Nadine and what she's all about. So Nadine's an official in Colorado, and she comes back to Iowa. But for our youth tournament, we had a little officials clinic where six girls got licensed as officials in the state of Iowa. And I wanted to just see how that course was because stepped in there for a little bit doing some stuff with track wrestling, but it looked pretty interesting and the videos looked great. So what was the course like?
Like the one through the state,
Yeah,
like
yeah.
the training thing that they sent us. So originally we came in, it was really cool. I was really excited because Nadine's, she's the best of the best, when Nadine's out there reffing your match, it's going to be done right. Everybody does a great job. Nadine just has her own, special touch to it. But walked in, she sat us down, she taught us the basics. We watched a few videos that the state provided about the new rules, some of the basic ones. We read through the manual, took the test, and by the end of it, we were full-blown referees. So that was really cool. I stopped wrestling last year, so it's cool to be back in the sport and doing things to help others, progress and just doing it again. It's kind of cool.
Yeah, that's really neat. I mean, not everybody goes on to college to wrestle, and I think sometimes we push more people that should, maybe there should be a limit on kind of where I push on that. Um, but everybody can give back in some way, whether it's helping a youth club or if it's, getting your coaching endorsement and becoming a high school coach. But I think refereeing is where we really need it because there's not that many officials in the state of Iowa, and we need more quality officials that are not like the Jason Lloyd rule, 360, they're either 300 pounds or 60 years old, so we need some, we need some of them that are a little bit younger than that and able to move around a little bit better. So when and
Yeah,
how
and
did,
especially
yeah,
women. Like you don't see many of them
yes.
doing it.
Yeah. And with Nadine, she's got the, it's official women's officials network now, and so that's a nationwide network that if you're a female official you can belong to. I don't think it costs you a dime, but there's like support system for that. So I don't know, have you joined the women's officials network yet?
No, but I should. I
Yes, you
completely, yeah,
should.
they provided us with armbands and whistle and everything, so I'm like ready to go. I should probably give
Yes,
them a follow, huh?
yes, you should. All right. Well, how did you end up starting to wrestle? I mean, I know your dad has coached and still coaching with me, but how did you get started wrestling?
So back in the day, it was probably like kindergarten, first, second grade. My brothers were wrestling, and I was a little jealous of them for getting to spend more time with dad, and just doing something that I wasn't, supposed to do. So I went in and I tried it out. The first few years, I kind of just messed around a bit, but uh, I like slowly got more into it and more serious, and yep, and it just kind of took off from there.
So you and Joe Lynn, did Joe Lynn start about the same time as you or not?
Maybe like a year or two after,
Year or
but
two
maybe
after that?
maybe the same year. I don't really remember, but yeah, we kind of battled through it together with the it was us and the boys. Then Dania joined and Yeah, that was a lot of fun.
Yeah, actually, and I don't know if you know this, you probably heard the story that in one day I got a message on Messenger, not from just your dad, but your mom and dad asking, I see you have a club in Northwest Iowa. How many girls are in it? And that's when I had to tell them, well, that's a club of one, and it's just me and Keegan, and we traveled. So we ran into you a little bit. I pulled up this picture off my wall in the wrestling room, so I'm gonna have to show everybody focus to the center of this picture and check out the nice basketball shorts on Miss Shepherd there, and
Oh,
Jolene
that's
next to her.
heinous,
So
Troy.
that's great, and that's a tough face we see there. So that's pretty nice. You were tough from the start, but that's the day I met the Shepherds and stuff. So from this day on, we started doing some of that Iowa West practices and teams and stuff. What did you think about, getting together with a group of girls practicing? Because we would be at South Central Calhoun sometimes. We went to Kingsley Pearson. We went to Midland University. We went kind of all over. What did you think about those practices as a, girl just getting started in wrestling?
That was really what caused me to be more serious about it because at first it was kind of just a time for me to mess around, but like seeing other girls do it made me realize, wow, I really can do this and be successful. And I was kind of on top of the world. That's going to those girl practices because you never really see that anywhere else. Back in those days, it seems weird to say that, but
Yeah.
I was wrestling with guys every day. When Dad's like, "Oh, we're gonna go to a girls wrestling practice," I was like. I was on cloud nine. I was so excited getting to go around and do that. And that's where I met some of my good friends now. So, I mean, it was cool getting to
Yeah.
go and
And
do that
then
with them.
being able to be on Team Iowa West dual teams at Mata Dreams and wrestling those things. We actually have I've looked through those pictures and there are so many state place winners and state champions and girls wrestling in college and girls that had just incredible careers. And we got our butts kicked almost every time we went
Oh
to one of those
yeah.
tournaments. But
We were
yet, look
terrible.
at, yeah, we were terrible. But look where I
It
mean,
was
all
so
of them
much
ended up.
fun.
Abby McIntyre was on one of those teams, and she's ranked number one in the nation right now. And Kaylee Reese came up from Florida and wrestled on that team with us, and yourself, Izzy, Dania. There was I think Ludke wrestled on the team with us one time. So
Mhm.
we had quite a team back then. So
Oh yeah.
you know and at this through all of these things, your dad convinced me that I live in Wall Lake. He convinced me that driving to Ridgeview would be the same as the drive to South Central Calhoun. And then when that COVID issue all hit, it seemed like the right time to come over. So you were on my very first as a head coach. You were a freshman my very first year of coaching wrestling and stuff, and you wrestled with the boys. Um, I guess what was your experience like as a freshman female wrestler, boys room? How was that?
Yeah. Looking back on it now, it was a great experience, but seeing like comparing it to after it got sanctioned, it was huge. My first year I was going through like the trials and tribulations of weight cutting for the first time. So I was eating only like tuna and rice cakes. I was super anemic, and so I would just like be asleep all the time. Um, but getting to wrestle with the guys, I mean, I just improved so much, I guess, having good partners in the room. Um, However, it was tough going to meets and getting like shoved into a classroom or into a janitor's closet at one point. One time, me and four other girls were like, "Well, we don't have a locker room for you, so you're gonna go in the janitor's closet." And that
Nice.
really felt like we were just kind of getting shoved into a corner, like you don't matter, you know? That was
Yeah.
really tough. That never happened when we were sanctioned though, so that was really nice. Felt like a luxury that shouldn't be a luxury. Everyone should feel like, they matter. What else? I guess that's all I got right now. Otherwise, I mean, it was really cool to be on a team with my brothers. That was really
Yeah.
fun. And it felt cool to make a difference on a guy's team and really
Yeah.
prove people that girls could wrestle.
Yeah, I know. I bet it would have probably been your sophomore year, but we had five girls wrestling varsity. Um, I believe it was your sophomore year, and we had the most dual wins that team had ever had for probably 10 years. So I think we had 10, 11 dual wins that year. And, between you and Izzy and, some of the smaller ones, you won duels for us. And that's something I know maybe some coaches, and maybe that's why I'm not always so well liked by some of the coaches in our conference too. It's because, we won duels because we put girls on the mat and we put girls on that knew how to wrestle and stuff. So, between your our freshman and sophomore year, I got a phone call from Clayton Van Horn, who did a hype video for us at the end of your freshman year and stuff. And he asked if he could go ahead and come into our room and do his capstone project, which at the time he had no idea what that capstone project was going to be. He just was going to do something with girls wrestling, but it turned out to be unsanctioned. What was some of your experience with unsanctioned, and just even getting used to being in front of a camera and all the things that happened throughout that time?
It was really fun being a part of that. So like he would follow us around at meets and stuff and people would come up to us, "Are you okay? This guy's following you with a camera." But he would film our practices. At first it was really awkward. Like I couldn't really talk in front of a camera. Here it's still pretty awkward, but it's not nearly as bad as it was before. Like camera would always be in our face. I would like that one scene in The Office where like Dwight is like looking through like
Yeah.
the thing and they're always like staring at the camera like awkwardly, but when we're supposed to be like just continuing as normal. But I mean, it was awkward at first, but slowly like the camera felt like it wasn't even there anymore, and we just started acting normal again, and that's when the best scenes came out because I mean, we were just acting as we normally do, which is kind of ridiculous and um spontaneous. But Jolene really was fun to watch behind the camera too because she never got used to it, but she still acted the same.
Oh yeah, yeah. She's a goofball, and her taking pictures. I had like 100 pictures of that guy's butt that one time at the tournament and stuff. Yeah, it was an interesting situation because, Clayton was there to do a job and videotape, but I knew he really liked wrestling, so I'd try to get him jumping in and practicing with us, and he just would always shy away from it. And I finally figured out why, because he really wasn't. He was supposed to be a fly on the wall and not really part of it because, but he did become part of our team by the end of the year.
We
It
really
was kind of
did.
a really kind of a cool, kind of a cool situation. And through that filming was, the tournament you placed. I believe you placed, well, your sophomore year. No, that'd be junior year. You placed seventh. Is that correct? But that's when that
Fifth.
is fifth.
Junior year was fifth. Seventh
Junior.
was sophomore, maybe?
Okay,
Yeah. Because I
so
think I went up
sophomore
and then
year.
back down.
Yep, yep. So sophomore year was the year that they announced sanctioning and stuff. So that year you had wrestled at um, I Wrestles Night of Conflict.
Oh yeah.
And what was Night of Conflict like for you? Because that's a cool thing to be showcased like that. Big stage, lights, introduction, smoke, the whole deal. What was
Super
that
cool
like?
event. Yeah. What'd you say? Sorry.
Just what was that whole experience like? And
All right. Um, so that was super cool. I was super like hyped up for that whole thing, but I'm also kind of an anxious girly. So I distinctly remember working myself so much, like working up so much to that match mentally that when I stepped on the mat, I was exhausted because I was so nervous and like shaking the entire day that I stepped on the mat and I was just like, oh, I can't pick up my feet. So I got out there. I did end up winning, but it was a solid match. Lots of turns. It was super scrappy, but I would never felt so like, seen, and it was super cool to go out there and put on a show, showcasing girls wrestling. Super cool
and that
experience.
yeah, that showcasing girls wrestling, there was kind of an important person in the audience that night. I believe you met Erin
Oh,
Gerlich.
wow, yeah.
Yeah, so she was that
I
was
completely forgot about that.
yeah.
That was
So the
amazing. I just yeah,
what was
sorry,
your
continue.
experience? I know you did a lot with the girls union and Erin and stuff. So even maybe changed your opinion on the color pink a little bit. So what was all your
Yeah.
experience at the girls union?
Yeah, so at that night, I completely forgot about that. Wrestling has given me so many opportunities like that. But I showed up. at that night of conflict, and Jason Lloyd is like, "Hey, there's a athletic union representative here," or I don't even know how he stated it, but he was like, "You should go talk to her." And I went over and we talked for like hours. It was like 4 hours, and by the time they rolled up the mats and it was time to go, we were still chatting. But eventually, I ended up on the student athlete advisory committee for the athletic union, and that was probably one of the coolest things I've ever been a part of. We just got to discuss with the athletic union representing like girls in the state of Iowa. We were on like a sounding board of representatives for everyone to just voice our opinions. Work state events, super cool. It was just amazing. And like Troy said before, I didn't like the color pink because people were like, "Oh, it's such a girly color," but uh, like now it's I mean that's not a gender role. It's just a cool color, you know? I mean, it's the coolest color.
There
Because you
you
can still
go.
wear pink and be cool, you know? You can still be a badass, for lack
Well,
of a better word.
I wear pink shoes this year, so the girls have finally converted me over. So yes, I've embraced the pink also. So going to that year in sanctioning, being on the floor when they announced sanctioning, what was just the whole environment around that? That was such a cool moment for me, something I've been working for a long time, but just to be involved in that, what was that like?
I was on the floor for that, and it was so cool because we kind of got like an inkling of what was going on, but we really had no idea. So it was a cool surprise. They really put on they Athletic Union always knows how to like put on a big show for everyone to make everyone feel like wanted and needed, like, important, which is
Yeah.
ultimately the point of state events is to provide a good experience for people. But it was just really cool that they did that is to show their support and sanctioning the girls wrestling. But it was like the lights. They had the girls with the sanctioned letters, but that was super cool. And to see the audience reaction, that was even cooler.
Yeah, they've
But
made some really
yeah.
cool adjustments to that tournament. That first or that year, I know Aaron was there and all the and Gene and stuff, and they watched and they saw by heavyweight that no one was sitting there watching anymore because everybody had got up and left, because they were doing the awards
Oh
as
yeah,
they went. And so it was just very cleared out by the time it would have been Peach and Huckfelt, which is an incredible match.
which is an
you
amazing
know,
match. Yeah.
yeah, and stuff, but the place was cleared out, and so they made the decision right then and there to, make the awards at the very end, so everybody's sitting there watching every match. I really do like the way they do things. It's pretty impressive, all the things that they've done. One of the things I think that I like to, express, I mean, to you, I know your wrestling took a huge jump in how well you did based upon your strength and conditioning coaches, the amount of time that you put into getting stronger and doing things. What was some of your routine? Just so, I mean, everybody sees people standing on a podium. Everybody sees people getting banners that say 100 wins or 100 pins, but they don't see the hard work that goes into all of that all the time. Sometimes we think that just comes easy. What is some of the routine that you had in your strength and conditioning program?
Yeah, I mean, I've had people say, "Oh, you're just talented, you didn't put any work in," but they really don't see what happens behind the scenes. But that's actually kind of rewarding, because that's where all the work gets done. But so my junior year and senior year, I really bought into it. Junior year probably more so than senior year because I was kind of a little psycho about it. But so I would like on the weekends, I would meal prep my meals for the week. So I would make sure I was getting my protein goals in, my calorie goals, just to stay underneath a certain level and make sure that I'm eating enough to be okay for practice and meets and because that's really what it goes down to. It's not just your lifting routine, but you also got to eat right. So I would wake up and either in the morning or after practice, I would lift with our weight training program at the school or uh, back at home. And then I also had a class normally where I was lifting. So I probably lifted like 1 to 2 times a day, every day with off days on the weekends. But on the weekends, I would make sure that I was running and wrestling, and I probably still hit a lift. But I mean, so I would wake up, maybe hit a morning lift or an afternoon lift, but then I would be at school I would hit wrestling practice. Then I would go home. I would wrestle with my dad again, hit a lift maybe, and then go on a run. So, I mean, it really was, that is what made the difference. I was super in shape. Even after meets, I would go out and run the hallways and like after matches my junior year. Not really my senior year. I was probably too busy coloring and talking with friends, but I mean, it was a great time and I enjoyed being in shape. It was really nice to not have to worry about the third period.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, a lot of matches. Well, a lot of your matches were won in the first period, but you know, those important ones, state tournament and qualifying, you know, get into the third period. So it's really important to have that conditioning. You mentioned something there that you'd come home and wrestle with your dad. I know it was a really important thing with him to have, you know, to be in the room with you. What was it like to have dad in the room, you know, all the time and just being around as much as he was, which is it's great.
Mhm. Yeah, he like normally I would probably wouldn't be like super happy if my parent was always there, but dad's different. He knows when to give me space and when to be like there and helping. Um, and it was super helpful having him in the room because he knew exactly what I needed to do to be better. That's what he spent all the time. Like I'm sure that he probably sat all day and thought about wrestling, and I know he did because I mean, every time I saw him, he'd be like, "Hey, you want to hear a thing that I thought about today?" I'm like, "Well, of course." I mean, but I'm pretty sure that's what he thought about all the time. And when somebody's doing that, big results come out of it. So he would just be in the room. Whenever I needed help, he always knew exactly what I was doing wrong. I mean, he watched so much film. And ultimately he was just trying to make me and my practice partners better and everyone in the room. But I don't know, it was really fun having him around too, because he's a funny guy. I
Yeah.
mean, you've always been friends with him. He always knows what to say. But little dad appreciation.
Yes, very much so. I keep telling him I don't understand why he keeps a job and just doesn't become an assistant wrestling coach for me full time would make my life so much better. I don't know why that job's important to him. It just makes no sense to me.
Yeah, why
But
would
you
you have a
know,
real
no,
job?
but I mean, there's probably not a night that goes by that there isn't one video sent between the two of us on a wrestling move or something, conditioning thing, or just a new drill and stuff. And we picked up quite a bit of stuff going back and forth. And it's funny when we send each other the same exact videos and say, "Oh, yeah, I just sent you that." That's kind of cool.
We do
Um,
that with memes sometimes.
yes, you also just in in your conversation there, you brought up another great point. Practice partners. That your senior year, I still I can't believe there was a better group of three in the state of Iowa practicing at every day. So yourself, Izzy Deeds, Destiny Brown, and quite honestly, I think Destiny probably got the it improved her so much, so incredibly much that year wrestling with you two every single day that you know it's amazing to see the progress that all three of you made throughout that year. So what was it
Yeah.
like to have that as a practice room? You know, that's a pretty strong practice room.
Yeah, I mean, I was super blessed to have Izzy and Destiny as my partners. Not many people can say that. Still people like wrestling new wrestlers still get stuff out of it, but getting to see like the different styles every day, like Izzy with her, I mean, just Izzy had just great defense. And then
Yeah,
Destiny with her firemen's getting to block that off all the time. I mean, it was really important for me to be able to fight off both styles because, I'm gonna wrestle people like that. But it was super, I mean, I'm so thankful looking back on it to have such good practice partners because they were in there every day to get better too. And even wrestling, the newer girls, I mean, really gave me a better perspective because teaching them taught me how to wrestle better. So, yeah, I mean, all
yeah,
throughout my life, I always had good partners, which was super awesome. Like when we were wrestling with the guys, they were super cool with the girls wrestling and, they got stuff out of it too. So, yeah,
yeah.
super
No,
cool
I
experience.
we always did have a good room for that. You know, that was always good. The fact, you know, like you, especially your, I believe your sophomore year wrestling a lot with Lucas Else, you know, and just developing, you know, best guy wrestler, best girl wrestler in the room, going back and forth. And I think both of you improved through that process. Um, One of the things that I on these, especially talking to the girls that I like to bring up is, you know, we're wrestlers, but that's what we do. That's not really who we are. And I know like a small school, and I just got done talking to a couple young ladies, the Bachman sisters from MFL Marmac, and the list of stuff that they do is pretty close to the list of stuff I think you're about to name off. But being at a small school, what were some of the other activities that you did?
It's been a while, but
See if you can
4-H,
rattle some of them off.
FFA, class president, student council, student senate. Did I say FFA? I probably said
Yeah, I
FFA.
think so.
Mock trial, speech, uh, track, softball, wrestling. Mm,
You had a
I
stint
feel
in
like
there of
I'm.
cross country, a short stint of
Oh yeah, I
cross
did do
country.
cross country. I did do cross country. I feel like I'm missing something. Oh, choir. I did choir and select choir. Um, yeah, those are the things I woke up early for.
So hardly anything at all other than wrestle. That's
No,
really cool that
I
you
didn't really do
concentrated.
anything.
No, that's it's really cool to have that 1A, 2A schools that you get the opportunity to do all those things. You know, a lot of people talk about the large schools and the opportunities they have in different classes and the size they have more opportunities for more money in the school, and there's just more things, but those kids seem to have to focus on one sport or one thing to be really truly good at because it's tough with the numbers that are in the school. But where in like Ridgeview, you are able to do anything you want to do there. I think that's really cool, and I think that's really important. um after getting done wrestling, actually, let's talk about one other thing. You said you were kind of an anxious girl, right?
I was an anxious girl.
Are you still an anxious girl, or are we getting more
Not
relaxed
nearly
now?
as much. I think
Okay.
wrestling definitely helped me with that. Like my up until my junior, well, after my junior year when I had my big like crash out, I really bought into just having a good time and still getting better and improving myself and being more process based instead of outcome based. So like I enjoyed just getting better at wrestling and maybe seeing a good outcome out of it instead of just focusing on the outcome. Like my junior year, I just wanted to be a state champ. And
Yep.
then after that, my senior year, which I actually enjoyed a lot, I just had a good time with the girls. I made a lot of friends. I was super happy with how I progressed and how I got better at wrestling instead of worrying about whether I won or not. And I was just ultimately happier and happier with myself and happier with how I progressed as a wrestler. But yeah, I mean, because of that, I was a lot less anxious. I was a lot more nervous earlier about whether I was going to win or not, or whether the match was going to go well, than whether I was going to get better at my form, or get better at my shots, or actually take a shot for once in my life. But yeah, I mean, definitely now since then, wrestling has definitely taught me how to be less of an anxious girl. Still anxious, but not nearly as much.
Well, I brought back in after, I remember which meet it was, but I've reintroduced the coloring books to our wrestling team. I went out
Yes.
and I bought the 120 Crayola box with the
What was
not
that when I was
attached.
wrestling, Troy?
Well, I didn't want people to think we were poor, so we went with the big box of Crayolas with the sharpener outside and stuff. And I picked up I think 7 Crayola books, but I attribute that to you. And where did you come? Because you brought this to our team. Where did you come up with that idea? Because I've looked into it since then.
I
But
don't even know. I just have always loved coloring and oh, where did it come from? I don't know. I just needed something to do in between matches besides watch matches and listen to hardcore rap. So I would sit there with my beats on and just like pace the entire meet. And then I got my coloring books, and instead of making my goal be to win state, it was to make 5 friends and color 2 coloring pages. And I made a lot more friends that way, and I enjoyed wrestling a heck of a lot more. But
yeah,
I mean, that's really what it's all about is, having fun, enjoying the process. And ultimately, I was a better wrestler because of it. But I mean, I loved my
because of
coloring
coloring,
page.
of course.
Yeah,
Coloring's what made
coloring
you.
coloring is the reason, Troy. It
I
is.
know.
Oh, I wish I knew where I got the idea from. I feel like I
I
just have always liked coloring. And
I
I mean, yeah. Yeah.
I've looked into this a little bit because I figured it probably came from some really high academic thing, but there is something actually to coloring. It's very good at distracting and keeping your mind focused on something else, and it's soothing and calming, and it kind of takes you back to your childhood a little bit. So I'm absolutely excited, and the girls were super excited that I brought coloring books back in. And I don't know why we didn't do it right away, but we needed to get rid of some of our nerves too. So we decided to go back to that.
It was
Um,
amazing.
yeah, I had more coloring pictures on my refrigerator from high school girls than I've had from my grandkids. So, yeah,
What
it
can I
was
say?
nice.
I'm glad I
Um,
could fill your fridge with things you were proud of.
there you go. There you go. And we even had contests, and all those things at
Mhm.
our, Christmas party. Um, so you're playing softball in college. And I
Mhm.
know there was, a lot of decision making went into where you were going to college and what you were going to do. What went into the whole recruiting process for you, and where did you all go? And ultimately, what are some of the things that helped you make the decision to go to Simpson?
Um, so more college-based decision, not sport-based.
Yes, yes. What were the
Okay.
things that you like? Man, this is where I should be.
All right. So, I visited schools like in the American Rivers Conference because I did want to be close to home, but not too close. So that knocked out BV. Great school. I really liked the wrestling program. Their softball program I would have fit well within it too, but it was just too close to home. I needed to get away a little bit. However, I wouldn't let that deter other people from colleges that are close by because it's as close as you make it, but I would probably make it not close. Um, then I took looked at other American Rivers Conference schools like Wartburg and Luther, all those schools. But I didn't really like the athletic administration programs there. I mean, some of them were okay. It was just I liked Simpsons a lot more. Their professor really heavily recruited me and I really liked his like vigor for the academic program. I thought that was super cool. And it's close to Des Moines and that's like the minor league capital of the world. So for
Yeah,
Iowa, I guess, but I would get a lot of opportunities for internships there. Um I visited Augsburg, and which I really liked Augsburg. That was a good choice for another alternative choice. And then Augustana, Illinois, I really liked. Um, and then I shortened it down to which schools would I want to wrestle and play softball at? Because I at the time I wanted to dual sport. And then I narrowed it down to Augsburg, Luther. Oh, and Grandview. I checked out Grandview. Um, but I really liked those schools. They were like the perfect distance. I like that they were like close to like bigger cities. And their athletic administration program was good. I liked all the coaches. Um, and so ultimately I chose Simpson because I really liked their softball team's culture and at the time I did want to wrestle and they would have let me do both. So that was cool. But yeah, that's why I chose Simpson.
yeah. And I think, I know conversations with your dad and some of the coaches kind of probably led to that decision too. We talked about if you're gonna play a college sport and you try to split your time between two college sports, you might not be the best you possibly can be. You might just be okay at each of the two sports, but where you may excel at the one. So I think did that have something to do with, maybe deciding on one sport? Because I mean,
Yeah.
I I don't know if I could imagine playing two sports in college and actually being able to compete at the highest level that I could compete.
Yeah, honestly, looking like after my first semester, I think I could have done it. Because this first semester was like a relaxing break for me. Because instead of doing 12 different things and still trying to like get good grades, I did one thing and was like super focused on that. And it was really nice and relaxing. It was like vacation. And I just really loved my team. It was super cool. Uh shoot, whoa, oh, it was dual sport. But yeah, that ultimately factored into this decision was, how good I would be at softball compared to which is my favorite sport. I do really like softball. Just because anxious girly things. I
Yeah.
when you wrestle and you lose, you really feel like it's all on you. But if you lose playing softball, it's, a little less soul crushing. But I mean, still, I mean, I do miss wrestling quite a bit. And Given another chance, I don't know if I would have done both, but I do know that I could always go back to it. I feel like wrestling's a sport I could always come back to.
Nice. Or give back in a different way,
Yeah,
possibly.
that's kind of what I want to do now.
And you spent
But
maybe a day or two, a couple hours in the weight room at Simpson.
oh, just a couple. I've gained 20 pounds and I hope some of it's muscle. But I gave some of the girls a hug when I came back and they said, "How did you get stronger?" Because I must have given them a pretty strong hug, but I don't know. So that made me feel good. That made me feel good about it. Oh, all of my maxes went up, so that was good.
Nice.
155-pound bench. I'm almost on the board. So
Very
that
nice.
made me happy.
How are our
Yeah.
squats and our deadlifts?
They're better. But they have us do front squats at Simpson, which I'm not a big fan of, but I can see why we do them. They are very beneficial. They're not as fun as back squats because I can do more with back squats. Deadlifts are always good though. We love deadlift.
Very nice. So the year's going really good for you. Um,
Hmm.
you've got I've seen you've been out and about doing some different things, probably fundraising for softball. What are some of the fun things you've gotten to do?
Fun things. I mean, softball every day is so much fun. I just love going out and spending time with my teammates. I've gotten to do a lot of things with the athletic administration program. Uh, Gone to like hockey games and stuff like that. I think they actually went on a visit to the Dan Gable Wrestling Museum. I couldn't go with to that because I had a vacation, but that would have been cool to go to. But they do a lot of stuff with our program. I guess like a lot of colleges try to give you lots of experiences, but
Yeah.
yeah, those
You were
those
at
are.
you were at a bananas game,
Oh
right?
my gosh, yeah, I forgot about that. Fundraising for softball. I
Yeah.
worked merch. That was an experience.
Yes.
Some of the
So
girls had
yeah.
to wear banana costumes. I didn't have to do that, so that was
No
really
banana.
good.
Well, come
And
on.
her
What would be wrong
nanners.
with the banana costume? I think that'd be pretty cool. I like watching their
Yellow
videos.
isn't my color, Troy.
Yeah. Gotcha. Other than softball, other than wrestling, other than all these things, what are some things that you really like to do? What is like Tatum Shepherd's, a great day at home, or what's something that you really like what do you enjoy doing besides athletics?
Okay, Tatum Shepherd's happy place. I have horses at home, so I really enjoy like working with them. Um, I guess if you don't consider that a sport. And fishing. I love fishing. It's like my go-to thing. When it's warm out and it's summer, I love fishing and spending time with my friends. But that was kind of a cliche answer besides like fishing. I feel like most people don't like just enjoy fishing. Maybe they do, but I like thoroughly enjoy fishing.
I think there's a
That is
lot
my
of
thing.
wrestling people and wrestling coaches that thoroughly enjoy fishing. I think it might be the it's
I think
very
it's like intense.
relaxing. It might be it's not as intense. I was not a fisherman. My dad and my brothers and uncles always told me I'd scare the fish away if I talked, and you probably have noticed I like to talk. So,
I also
I
like
don't
to talk.
always get that opportunity to, obviously they lied to me because you fish and you like to talk.
Yeah.
So,
I
didn't
think they
scare the
did
fish
because
away.
I've been fishing with Jolyn, and you know how Jolyn is, and
Yeah.
she like screams at the water, and next cast she'll catch like a 4-foot pike, and
Well, see,
it
it
really
was
made me
all
mad because I was very quiet. I was
it
very
was
good. I was very quiet, and I never caught him.
yeah, see, it was all a lie. It was an all lie to me. So,
It was all a lie.
well, I'm going to go through some different questions I like to ask some people and maybe spark some different conversations, not necessarily in a wrestling thing. It may relate back to wrestling at some point, but
It
if
always
you
does. It
it
always
always
does.
does somehow. But, you know, vacationing, I know you've been to beaches, I know you've been to mountains. You've traveled quite a bit, your family travels. What is your vacation goal? What's the dream vacation for Tatum Shepherd?
Okay. Um, I want to go to like all of the warm places. Like, cause I mean, we've been to like Europe and I loved Europe. And I was just at a time where I was like going through like super hormone stages. I was just like an awful person. So I want to go back. I want to go back to Europe, but then I also want to hit up all the warm places. Like I haven't been to Costa Rica. I really want to go to Costa Rica. I feel like that'd be fun. But yeah, maybe hit up the Bahamas again. That'd be
Nice.
fun.
Our
Jamaica.
friend Emma Lopez just was down in Nicaragua. I don't know if you saw that.
Oh!
Yeah.
Okay. Okay.
So
Maybe hit up Nicaragua. That's a warm place.
that's a warm place. It's farther south than Iowa. Why we live in Iowa, I
Yeah.
still don't
I
know,
think it'd
but
be
that's
fun to
all
do
right.
some like mission trips too. I feel like that'd be fun, like
That's
rewarding.
that's what she's doing actually right now.
Yeah, I
But
heard
so
Nicaragua. I figured that's
actually she
super
went to
that's
meet
super
that was before her mission trip started. She went to meet her dad for the first time.
that's
So
so cool.
that was a really cool trip for her. So yeah.
Emma Lopez like inspires me to like do stuff like that. It's so
Yeah,
cool.
she's a neat girl. So, I know we differ in this, but we're both fans of shoes. If you are gonna lace up the shoes one more time, you're gonna come back to try to win a national title at the college level. What shoes are we buying?
Buying. Oh, I already have my dream shoe. I got the teal combat speeds. I love them. They're my
Ah,
babies. They are in my room. They are stuffed with Walmart bags so they hold their shape and they are in a safe place. I love those shoes and I will forever love those shoes. I'm doing coaching stuff this off season. I'm like doing some wrestling lessons and I will be lacing up the teals. I'll be lacing up the combat speed teals.
and then
But if I were to buy a pair, I would get the original combat speed teals because I haven't seen them in person yet and I really want to.
well, I guess Adidas are they're okay. I've had one pair in my
Okay,
life.
okay.
I've had one pair in
They
my
are the
lifetime.
best wrestling shoe. I've had
Ah,
every brand, and I can say that Asics is a close second to Adidas. I don't like Rudis. Nike's okay.
I've had one pair of Nikes. I've had a ton of pair of Asics, and I would probably, if I was going to find some, it would be um, probably the Schultz, the black and gold or blue and gold. In my day, those were Dan Gable XLs, I believe, and they were silver and blue or silver, yeah, blue and silver, red and
Okay.
silver, and black and
I feel like
silver.
that'd be
So
pretty clean.
yeah,
Yeah.
they're no split sole, full sole on them. All the old school style. So I would probably go back to that.
Okay. No, I would mess with that. Yeah. You're a
Yes,
Rudis guy
yes.
though, and I don't agree with that. I
I've
don't
I
like Rudis.
well I like the Sly Fox. Now the other Ruta shoes I haven't really gotten into, but the Sly Foxes have been a good shoe for me. I like them a
Yeah.
lot, and that's just
I
because I'm an
got
old
some
guy too.
combat
And
speed fives. They fell apart on like well, I mean I was wrestling a lot, so that made sense. But like the fours broke less than the fives. So that was cool.
yes, yeah, Dave Schultz is the reason for the Sly Fox too, and he's an old guy. Like, well, he's not an old guy anymore because he's dead, but he's
May he rest in peace.
yes. But that's why I got those shoes. We talked
Those
about
are
color.
those are cool shoes. They look
Yeah,
cool.
yes. And they have an
I
all leather
appreciate
pair now. All leather, like not
What?
suede leather,
Okay.
actually. Yeah, so those are probably coming my way sometime soon. I haven't ordered them yet. I'm just waiting, sitting back a little bit. So, if we were going to say what's our favorite color now, what would you say?
Favorite color of shoe?
No
Or just
favorite color, just favorite
pink?
color.
Pink
You're
is my
pink.
favorite color now. It used to be blue because I was a pink shunner. I was like, why does everything have to be pink? And now it's like pink is cool. Pink is so badass, you know? I love pink.
That's
What
that
about you, Troy?
Aaron. That's that Aaron influence. I don't. I have a whole lot of orange and black in my
Wow.
wardrobe now, but it's not my favorite. Orange is okay. I'm getting more pink.
It gives
God,
pumpkin. It really does.
yes. I don't know. I don't know if I really have a favorite color. Purple. I'm from Denison, and I'll always probably enjoy the purple and gold there a little bit. So probably purple if I had to really
Okay.
decide.
Okay.
So you live out and you have all kinds of crazy animals out at the Shepherd petting zoo. Um, I usually ask people what if it's cat or dog, but I'm going to ask you what is your favorite animal and to have as a pet?
Some people would think I would say alpaca because, I got my little alpaca business, my little Etsy shop,
Yep,
but
yep.
I really like my horses. They are
You like,
my Yes, but like if I were to have a spirit animal, it'd be a dog or a goat because I think that's cool. I mean, got that dog in me. Naughty move.
there you go. That's a thank you, Parker Broyle, huh?
Yep. A hungry dog is a dangerous dog. I hope you're
That
listening,
is.
Parker.
Yeah, I'm sure you will probably listen to this one. We talk about it every once in a while. So you would say if we were gonna just narrow it down, cat or dog, it would definitely be dog then, correct?
Yes, yes. A hungry
And
dog.
and what kind of dog would we be? looking at?
Like the dog I have right now is like a really anxious and angry German Shepherd, and
Yep.
she hates people, but like, I mean, she's pretty cool and chill. I don't know. I feel like it would be a German Shepherd, like
Think the German
Kona. That's my
Shepherd.
dog right now.
Yeah, Kona is a little stressed sometimes,
She's
a little
stressed.
bit. She likes me most of the time. Every once in a while we don't
And she
always get
bites you.
along. And she bites me. But that's okay.
It's a
It was a
toxic
little
relationship.
yeah, it's love hate, but it's okay. We and you talked about this a little bit too, but let's say what's your favorite genre of music?
Oh, like I said, I would strap on my beats and listen to like hardcore rap back in the day, and now I kind of like to settle down with some country or like chick songs, like the girly songs.
Yeah.
But probably country. I'm a lot more chill now. I listen to a lot of country.
I think even in the practice room, every once in a while you threw on some sad country breakup
Oh
songs or
yeah.
something.
Oh yeah.
Uh,
Sad country. Oh, my favorite country genre is male regret. Like Blake Shelton, like like male regret songs.
nice.
Because they're so funny.
I ran across this band a few weeks ago, um, Red Clay Strays. Have you heard them?
Yes. Yes, they're really good.
I'm really
Yeah.
digging that
The
music.
guy
It's not
kind of
normal for
sounds
me.
like his nose is plugged. I
Yeah.
think I feel.
Yes.
Yep.
That's it.
Yeah,
That
I
is
really
it.
like it.
Yes.
I
So
do
so
listen to a
n-
lot of Red Clay Strays.
yes,
Oh yeah.
I've been hitting that. There's really, people talk about new music sucking and stuff, but right now there's a lot of really good music out there. A lot of
I
good,
agree.
a lot of good singer-songwriter stuff that I've really kind of enjoyed. So if you were gonna now again go back and win that national title
Oh
and
yeah.
you had to have different music in the beats, what music would you put in there now? What would be a pre-match song for you now?
Pretty much. I love 90s or 70s, 80s like hip hop. Like with like I don't know. I feel like I liked Snoop. Get some Wu-Tang up in there. I just my dad has influenced me. I really do. Or lately, like when I'm hitting, I listen to Creed. So like
Oh,
hold
see,
me now. I'm six
see,
feet.
see.
Yeah. Or
I like
like
me some Creed too. That's good.
higher. Yes.
You're,
I would
you're
I would probably listen to Creed or like old hip hop.
very good, very good.
But if I was trying to
Mine.
get pumped up,
So
not
would
if I
it
was
be
trying to be.
pumped up or more assassin like? I talked to like Emma Randall and I talked to Adam Hale. I don't know if you've ever met Adam or not. He's a coach at Pella. He was at Newton before. Who else have I t just different coaches have been kind of like they're like I think I would tone it back into more an assassin type thing. And Emma's like I would need something to reset my vagus nerve and all this stuff. So she's like really into this crazy stuff, but not crazy stuff, but just getting that mellow, just ready to go out and kill somebody type of mood, not necessarily
Oh yeah.
headbanging or
Well, if I was trying to like reset my vagus nerve, I feel like I would listen to like Michael Bublé's Sway.
there you
Like that
go.
would make me feel like I'm about ready to go like commit some sort of like crime. I don't know.
Very
Make me
nice.
sway. Yep, I feel
So
like that's a good
now,
one.
you brought something up. I didn't even put it on here, but I need to remember to keep adding this to my list. I know your dad has a list of movies that you must watch,
Hmm.
that all of his kids must watch, and it's an incredible list of movies. But out of those movies, what has been something that's really influenced you? What's your favorite
Oh,
of your dad's
influence.
list? Or
Oh,
or
well,
what's
they're all
what's
kind of
something that
like
you're like,
silly movies. Well, some of them are like, I guess, like of my top ones, I like songs that like changed my like psyche, or not songs, movies that changed my like psyche were probably like uh oh, like Seven. Oh my gosh, that movie scared me. Now I'm like afraid of like random strangers. Have
yeah,
you
that
ever
movie's
seen
that's a
Seven?
little, yes, I've seen Seven.
What's
That
in
is
the
a
box?
that's a great
Um,
movie.
what's the one where like the band teacher
Oh,
like
yes.
messes with Miles Teller?
Yeah, I
You
can't
know,
think of it right off
what's
the
it
top of my
called?
head. I know what you're talking about.
That one's really good. That
Yes,
one's
and
good.
yeah, that's a
I
bizarre
watch a
that
lot
yeah.
of South Park too, and I feel like that's just made me funnier.
Well, South
But nothing
Park is really
seriously has like changed my life. I mean, like I do watch
well,
a lot of
South Park
South Park.
should. South Park
South
should
Park
change
has
your
changed.
life.
Now every time like something happens in my life, I like relate it to South Park. Like the other day,
I
it's okay, I forgive
apologize.
you.
I
I forgive you.
apologize. my entire life revolves around cartoons and old crappy music. So
And wrestling.
and wrestling.
And wrestling.
Let's see.
Wait,
What do we got here?
what about you? What movies changed your life?
Well, I watch a lot of good movies and stuff. I'd have to go back to like Stripes was one that yeah, I don't know if you've ever seen Stripes, but that's really good. The Vacation series, your dad has to have the Vacations on
Like
there.
Christmas Vacation, that
Yeah,
changed your life.
Chris. Oh my God, yes.
Oh wait, no, actually Good Will Hunting and like I'm trying to think of like serious movies now. Good Will
Oh,
Hunting was good. And then what's the one where Dead Poet Society? That
that
one
that's a
like
great
changed
movie.
my brain chemistry. That is a good movie. Highly recommend for anyone listening.
Yes.
Watch Dead Poet Society. That
There
is
was
a
a lot
good
of
one.
good movies in the 80s and 90s, and your
Oh,
dad
what
has a
happened,
list of them
Troy?
all. I don't know. And then everybody should probably know that we every year at our Christmas party watch Vision Quest,
Yep.
and
Vision
we've
Quest right
had
here.
Shoot actually give us a video message before, so that's pretty cool. Not every high school girls wrestling team has had Shoot send them an actual message about, kicking ass during
Getting
the year.
7 to
So
8 hours of sleep. Thank you, Shoot.
yes,
He
Shoot's
has
the
influenced
man.
me to get more sleep.
Yes. My next one, we talked considerably about the coloring books, so we don't need to go back to that. But let's talk about the coin flip because, well, for some reason your national title would be folk style. So you must be going to just a club because they still have some
Oh,
club folk style in college and stuff. So on the coin flip, what would you choose right now? Going neutral?
neutral. I'm going
Neutral.
neutral. I'm
All
going
right.
neutral. 100%. I'm gonna get my underhook and I'm gonna capitalize.
Very good. We
And it
still work
doesn't
a lot
even
under
depend
it.
on like the situation. Like it doesn't depend on the situation. I'm going neutral and I'm gonna go crazy,
Okay.
you know?
That's
Yep.
actually really good to know because that's where I would probably put you 90% of the time,
Yep,
unless it's
I'm going neutral.
situationally it didn't. I talked to a lot of coaches and stuff, and like our team kind of had free reign. I typically don't want to make that decision. And actually, I got that from your dad because I believe it was the third and fourth place match, your eighth grade year at AAU State, and
Oh my goodness.
you were down, I believe, by
I
1 point
remember
or
this.
2 points. And I believe you're wrestling Simone and you chose up. And I was like, are you kidding me? He was like, no, I'm not telling her any different because if I tell her something and she loses, it's my fault. But now she's got to own it and stuff. And that moment he said that, I was like, you know what? I really like the way you just said that. She's got to make your athlete own that. So typically my response is, how are you going to win this match? And make you decide. You've probably heard that a
Yeah.
time or two.
Yeah. But there was a time when I think he did pick one for me and it just didn't work out well. I think it was bottom. I hated that. Hated
Well, that's
bottom.
that's what everybody old school is bottom. You had to pick bottom. You had to get away. If you're going to be a
Yeah,
good
I
wrestler,
hated
you
it.
have to be able to get away. And now it's
It's
only what's
different
one
when you're a
point.
girl, because like on top, girls like the hips. I don't know. It
Yeah,
was really hard to get out from underneath. I felt like there was like a bowling ball like crushing. No, not bowling ball. You know, it was like an
I know.
anvil.
Yeah, yeah. So the new rule set would have actually gone right into everything you like to do. Are you sad that you didn't get to be around for the 3 point takedown, 4 point near
Yes, I
falls?
am. I would have had like so many first period techs.
I know.
That does make me sad.
Because what was it? Always three takedowns before we would pin. So you had already been up 9-2
Yeah.
before even starting to pin somebody, and you'd only need two near falls. So, I think I've gone through my
Yeah.
entire list so far. We're approaching an hour, and I knew I needed to leave you a little bit of time because Tatum always has a lot of good final thoughts, and I like to give you an
Oh, I do.
opportunity.
Oh, true. I
Yes.
haven't prepared anything.
Well, that's all
Final.
right because these are going to come right off the top of your head. So,
Okay.
final thoughts with Tatum Shepherd.
Final thoughts. Well, because this is a girls wrestling podcast, I mean, girls wrestling had a huge impact on my life. Um, I mean, I just wrestling everything once you do it, everything else in life is easier. I do miss it quite a bit. Um, but I look back and I learned so much and I owe a lot of who I am now to wrestling. But Yeah, and it was just a great way to connect with my dad. I guess that's just summarizing wrestling up into like 5 words, but yeah, that was really tough. I don't like preparing things off the top of my head. But yeah, those are my final thoughts. And I don't know, I've just made so many friends through wrestling and I would recommend anybody to do it.
All right,
But yeah.
so I'll go one past the final thoughts.
Oh,
If you were going to recruit young ladies to be on a wrestling team, what would be your recruiting pitch?
my recruiting pitch.
Yeah, what do you tell
What
them?
level? What level of wrestling?
Let's say high school. Let's say high school.
High school?
We're trying to build our high
Oh,
school team
well,
up.
I had to do that. I would say, well, I mean, what's holding you back from it? Because I think everybody's like thought, like if I'm asking a person, it's probably because I think that they would enjoy it. It's not like whether or not I think that they would be good at it. It's whether they would enjoy it. Because ultimately that's what it's about. Um, but I would say what's holding you back from it, then I would let them give it a try. Because I think everybody falls in love after they've tried it once because it's just so much fun. But yeah, I feel like that's what I would do. I would just let them try it because I mean, what's the worst that could happen? I mean, it's
Well,
it's a great experience.
I need to work on that what's the worst that can happen speech because we had a new young lady started a week ago. Well, not a week ago because we had a break, but she started the week of our last meet. And I said, "Ah, what the heck? You wrestled when you were a little kid. Go ahead." So she went to the Boone tournament and I said, "What's the worst that's going to happen?" And she said, "Well, I could lose." And I said, "No, the worst that could happen is you get dropped on your head and you die. And that would be
I
the
know, you
absolute,
can't say that.
yeah, no, that would be the absolute worst thing that could happen, right?" So if we were going real scenarios, that is the worst thing. So losing doesn't seem so bad after that, right?
I don't know. Back in the I
Losing.
hate losing more than I love winning, so I probably would have rather gotten dropped on my head than lost. I'm kidding.
Nope.
Maybe.
Yes, we've discussed you and Izzy with a few different girls. We've had the discussion of Izzy and Tatum's breakdowns after their year at but I will tell you, you motivated Addie Lundquist to go out and win her match, her third and
I
fourth
did.
place match. Yes, because we were all sitting around talking prior to that, and she's like, I don't want to feel like that, so she went out and won that match and stuff.
Wow.
So you
Yeah,
inspired
that was a
even
low
in
point. It
loss,
really
even
was.
in a loss, you inspired someone.
Thank
So
you. I must have looked really crappy. That she was like, "Oh, I don't want to feel like that. I better win."
yes,
Oh
so
my gosh. No, I was never so sad in my life. So I'm glad that I was able to help someone.
there you go. Well, I never thought I would do this, but I do have a Simpson softball shirt, so I should have wore it.
Oh, yeah.
I went with my Raptors shirt tonight, but it's got a softball.
Storm softball.
Yeah, I can at least live with softball. I couldn't put a Storm wrestling shirt on, so but
Yeah, I mean, you never know. Maybe someday I'll get back into it, but softball's going a little too well, I'm pitching well. I mean, the team's super awesome, but
are you
yeah, I
going
mean,
somewhere fun for spring break?
I'm going to Florida.
Well,
Yes.
very nice.
Yes, we're
What
gonna
part of
go play
Florida?
softball. I don't
Don't have a
know.
clue.
I'm gonna hop on that plane and find out when I get there, I guess.
All right. Well, hopefully it's on one
Detroit,
of
you
the
should come down and
coasts.
watch. You should come down
I
and
would
watch me
I
play softball.
That would be a great way to do it. I actually got invited yesterday as the game was happening. My buddy Chris Fox that lives in Orlando was at the Iowa State game. He's like, "You should have came." I'm like, "I didn't even know that Iowa State was playing in Orlando." So
That's
at least
awesome.
got a place to stay. But thank you very much for doing the podcast. I enjoyed it.
Of course.
Stick around for just a second. I'm going to hit the stop button and we will talk to you in a moment.